What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for Champions League Week 2 predictions. And we had a really good first Champions League week, and that ties in with one of the comments of the week. Anthony asked if I could start doing a recap of the previous game week prediction video. So if that's something you guys would be interested in, let me know in the comments again. But we're going to be doing it for this Champions League episode as he commented it on the last Champions League episode. And real quick, we've gone up over 1,000 subscribers in the last week alone. So we're really pushing towards 40,000. I know we can get there before Christmas, which is just incredible. So if you are new here, please do subscribe down below. But the last Champions League game week, we of course posted 18 tips, one tip per game for the last round of Champions League fixtures, and the overall winning odds were 23.61 with a profit of 5.61 units. So if you backed every individual tip individually, then you would have got over 5 units in profit. We also had 2 correct scores. We had Slavia Prague and Bodo Glimt to draw 2-2, but also Bayern Munich to beat Chelsea 3-1. And that ties in with the other lovely comments of the week. These two right here that were clowning on me for predicting that Chelsea would lose. I even said in the Champions League video that I never predict Chelsea to lose, and I was going to do it, and I could not have been more correct. The Bayern Munich-Chelsea game followed my script exactly. So I just want to say, if I predict something that you disagree with, or if I predict that your team specifically is going to lose, that's often when people get annoyed. It's not personal. Please don't have a go at me in the comments. Feel free to disagree with me and tell me why I'm stupid, but be nice about it, okay? Flashing up on the screen are all of the people that are supporting me over on the Patreon. If you want access to exclusive members tips and accumulators, as well as shout out in every video and access to the group chats and messaging to me, then you can click that top link in the description. Here are the winning accas since the last video. And I just have to say, this one at the top here is not a winning accumulator, but I witnessed something that I think has never happened in the history of football. Long story short, we had a 4-fold result in both teams to score ACCA from the Chinese Super League. And they all come in. The top 3 had already finished, and Chengdu Rongcheng were 3-1 up before the end of the first half. And then Cariello scores 10 minutes into stoppage time in the first half and 10 minutes into stoppage time in the second half to make it 3-3. I don't think any player has ever done that ever. Scoring a goal 10 minutes into stoppage time for both halves. So yeah, unfortunately that means the 40 odds ACCA didn't come in, but last night we did have the high odds both teams to score 6-fold. You can see the games here, the stalemate double on Friday night, the Thursday night 4-fold, more stuff here. If you want to pause the video, you can check it out. And we of course had more correct scores from the Serie A that I also tipped over on the Patreon. Here's the current record. The +7 and the +2 and overall +9 are for accumulators and tips I've posted on the Patreon tonight. So if you're watching this in time, you can go and join the Patreon and still get access to those as well. But with all that out the way, finally we can kick off the Champions League. So if you do enjoy the little recap of the previous game weeks and results, then let me know in the comments, and if you like it, I'll continue doing it. If not, if you want me to get straight into the predictions like I used to do, then again, let me know. But we kick off with an absolute belter. It's Atalanta up against Club Brugge. Now, Atalanta were handed the heaviest defeat of the first game week at the hands of PSG, which was just insane. Club Brugge, however, absolutely battered Monaco 4-1. Monaco going through a little bit of a blip. I think Atalanta are actually going to bounce back here and win at home. However, Club Brugge, they look so good. I mean, they recently obviously beat Rangers 9-1 on aggregate to make it into the Champions League. So they're a really good team, and I could see Atalanta dropping points here. I might even change my prediction. I don't know. I think Club Brugge are that good, but I'll stick with what I've got here. I can't be flip-flopping on the very first one. I'll go Atalanta to win 2-1. But regardless of what I think the result's going to be, the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.61. After this, we have Kairat Almaty against Real Madrid. The team from Kazakhstan against a team that just got absolutely battered by Atletico Madrid in La Liga. Now, obviously, this is, if ever there was, a David versus Goliath matchup, right? Like, they are so far apart. They're worlds apart, geographically and skillfully. They are so far apart, and there's no way Real Madrid don't win this. The question is by how many, and I almost feel like I'm going conservative here, but I'm going to go for 4-0 to Real Madrid. Now, Kairat did actually manage to score against Sporting in the opening game week, and it was 1-0 for a long time, but ultimately, towards the end of the game, Sporting got the goals. It ended 4-1. Like I said, I think this is probably conservative at 4-0 to Real Madrid. The tip is going to be over 3.5 goals at 1.72. I think those odds are really good for what is surely very likely. I mean, I know if Kairat had to get anything from this game, it would probably be a 0-0 draw. Like, they'd have to somehow park the bus extremely well. But Real Madrid aren't going to let that happen. I'm going 4-0. It could be more. I'm going to go over 3.5 goals. After this, we have Atletico Madrid up against Eintracht Frankfurt. Atletico Madrid beating Real Madrid in a 7-goal game, and Frankfurt beating Gladbach in a 10-goal game in the Bundesliga. Always goals in that league. Frankfurt winning 6-4 away from home. I mean, it's weird to think you can have such a good day but still concede 4 goals. But they scored 6 themselves. So I think obviously Atletico Madrid are a tougher opposition than the likes of Borussia Mönchengladbach. I think Gladbach has kind of fallen off over the last couple of years, but I think Atletico Madrid at home are just going to get the win. I'm going to say 2-1. But again, the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.66. These teams, as I said, they've scored 11 goals between them in their last game. Incredible. If we don't see goals here, I will be very, very shocked. After this, we have Bodo Glimt up against Tottenham Hotspur. Now, Tottenham needed a 94th minute winner to draw against a team that had 0 points in the Premier League. And Bodo Glimt, I mean, they're a good domestic team, of course they are, but Champions League, it is different gravy. They did manage to get the 2-2 draw away from home that I predicted in the first game week, and I'm going to go for a bit of an upset here. I know Tottenham are the favourites because it's Premier League, Bodo Glimt. There are levels, but I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and the tip is going to be Bodo Glimt +2 and both teams to score at 1.75. So Tottenham could win this one by a goal, but as long as it's like 2-1, 3-2, something like that, the tip would still come in. But any score draw and any Bodo Glimt win, as long as Tottenham do score, comes in. So it's an interesting little combo. It's a way of saying that Tottenham should win, but I'm going to say it won't be super easy and side somewhat with Bodo Glimt at home as well. After this, we have Chelsea up against Benfica. Benfica, arguably the shock of the opening week, throwing away a lead to Qarabag. I think they were 2-0 up and they lost 3-2 to Qarabag. Now, Chelsea fans, particularly the two of you that I shouted out in this video, it's all love. And I know I predicted you to lose against Bayern Munich. I know it's been tough. You barely scraped past Lincoln in the Cup, and you've lost since in the Premier League to Manchester United and to Brighton. But I know that the red cards in those Premier League games played a big, big part, right? And I do think Chelsea are going to win. So you can be happy with me in the comments. I'm going for a Chelsea win. I'm going to say 2-1. And I am actually going to tip Chelsea to win at odds of 1.66. Now, speaking of the Premier League, we travel to Galatasaray, who host Liverpool. And this is going to be an exciting one. Galatasaray are a really good team, and they've got so many good players. A lot of players that people just kind of forget about. Once European top players, and you know, you go to Galatasaray, a lot of people just kind of forget, but they've got a really good team, and this is not going to be an easy day for Liverpool, especially after the psychological blow of getting Liverpool themselves losing to Crystal Palace 2-1, Nketiah scoring at the end, Palace getting a deserved win, Liverpool finally tasting defeat, and for the first time this year, Liverpool no longer favourites to win the Premier League. I think that's reflective of Arsenal's hard run of opening fixtures. If you look at the odds, Liverpool are not favourites to win the Premier League. Now, as an Arsenal fan, I think I might put a small something on Liverpool to win the league from this point, because either they win the league at the best odds we've seen all season, or my team Arsenal win the league for the first time in over 20 years. And I'd be happy to lose money to see Arsenal win the Premier League. So if you are interested, maybe a Liverpool win the Premier League outright bet is an option. But with regards to the Champions League, I think they're going to bounce back and get a win. They are better than Galatasaray, and they've got a good squad depth to cope with this fixture. So the atmosphere is going to be tricky, but I'm just going to say 2-1 to Liverpool, and the tip is Liverpool to win at 1.65. The odds are actually very low. It might be smarter to look towards both teams to score now that I'm thinking about it, so I'll put a little note down here for both teams to score as well. The value's got to be more than 1.65, or if it's not, very, very close, like 1.61. I just will shade it to Liverpool. After this, it is Inter Milan up against Slavia Prague. Two teams whose games that I most recently predicted, I got perfectly right. Inter Milan beating Cagliari 2-0 in the Serie A, and Slavia Prague drawing 2-2 with Bodo Glimt in the Champions League. So obviously I don't predict their domestic league, so that's their most recent score prediction. So I think there's a very high chance I get a correct score prediction on this game again. I think it'll be an Inter Milan classic. I'm going to go for Inter Milan to win 2-0, and the tip is going to be Inter Milan to win and under 3.5 goals. Following this, we have a really intriguing fixtures. It's two European giants, certainly of the 20th century. It's Marseille up against Ajax. Now, Marseille, perhaps largely helped to the fact that a lot of PSG players, or a few PSG players, missed the game against them due to the Ballon d'Or ceremony, Marseille were able to snag a victory 1-0 against PSG. I do think they are going to win this game. I think Marseille, if there's anyone that can challenge PSG for the French league, it is them. I think they're a very, very good team with a lot of good players. I think Marseille will win this one. I'm going to say 2-1. The tip is Marseille to win and over 1.5 goals at 1.66. That brings the odds up from a very, very low 1.48. I think Marseille will beat this Ajax team, who aren't as strong as they've looked over recent years, maybe even 5+ years ago. Ajax not quite there right now. After this, we do have Paphos FC up against Bayern Munich. Harry Kane becoming the fastest player in the top 5 leagues to reach 100 goals for their club, beating out Erling Haaland and Cristiano Ronaldo by 1 game. 104 games, 100 goals. And Paphos, they got a great point against Olympiacos. They were down to 10 men for a bit of the game, and honestly, Olympiacos were absolutely battering them. I have no idea how Paphos hung on in there, but they won't be able to do the same against Bayern. So I think Bayern Munich are going to win this one. I'm going to say 4-0. And the tip is Bayern Munich -2 handicap at 1.95. That allows for a 3-0, a 4-1, etc. They just need to win by 3 goals, and I think Bayern Munich have more than enough in the tank to do that. After this, we have the next day of fixtures. We move on to Wednesday. Unlike the first week where it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which I'll be honest, I really liked. I liked 6 per day for 3 days as opposed to 9 per day for 2 days, but we've got Europa League and Conference League as well now. We have Karabag up against Copenhagen. Karabag, as I said, a brilliant 3 points away to Benfica. I mean, there are so many teams that are better than them that have struggled there. No one expects to guarantee 3 points away to Benfica, and Karabag went and did it from 2 goals down. They will be absolutely buoyed by that, but ultimately, I don't think they are an amazing team at a Champions League level, so I think Copenhagen can maybe sneak something here. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, but the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.61. Next up, we travel to Belgium for Union Saint-Gilloise up against Newcastle. Now, Newcastle will feel downhearted about their loss to Arsenal in the Premier League. Think about what you want about the game. There was a lot of controversy in there, a lot of decisions that I think were just mental, but Newcastle deserved to lose that game. I know I'm an Arsenal fan, and we'll talk about Arsenal in a minute, but Arsenal absolutely deserved to win that game. Newcastle couldn't cope with them, and ultimately they lost. This one's going to be really difficult. Union Saint-Gilloise really blew me away in the first week. They went to PSV and won 3-1. And PSV, they're probably the best Dutch team there is, and they toyed with them, really. So I think at home, Newcastle, it's not a short travel, it's not a short journey, but I just think Newcastle are psychologically a little bit hurt after that St. James's Park fixture against Arsenal, and I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for 1-1, but the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.7. I think that is pretty much nailed on. Now after, it is Arsenal up against Olympiacos, the new favourites to win the Premier League, which is insane, and Olympiacos, as I said, unable to beat Paphos when they really should have done, and they should have taken advantage of the red card that Paphos got, and they didn't. I think Arsenal win this one, much like they did against Atletico Bilbao. Even if they leave it somewhat late, Arsenal won't mind, even if it's the last 15 minutes where the Premier League fitness just kind of outpaces that of the Greek Super League. I think they'll get the job done. I'm going to say Arsenal to win 2-0, and the tip is Arsenal and under 3.5 goals at 2.1. That's 1-2, 3-0 or 2-1. I love that it allows for a 2-1 in there. After this, it's probably the most exciting tie of the week. It's Barcelona up against PSG. Now, PSG currently sit top of the Champions League after beating Atalanta 4-0, and Barcelona, as we tipped, it was banker of the week. It was alarm bells ringing. I said Barcelona to win away at Newcastle. The odds were 2.1 when I said that. Before kickoff, the odds were 2.75. And Barcelona went and won. Someone in the comments of my Champions League video said they backed Barcelona to win and Bayern Munich and both teams to score, because those were my tips in the video, at odds of 6. And it came in. It'd be odds of nearly 9 by kickoff. But yeah, that came in for them. So very happy there. I think Barcelona win this one. I know PSG are really, really good, but I'm just going to shade it to Barcelona. This is going to be an amazing game. I cannot wait to watch it. I'm going to go for Barcelona to win 3-2, but I'm so not sure on the result. We're going to go for both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 1.61. After this, we have Bayer Leverkusen up against PSV. Bayer Leverkusen, we correctly predicted their score from the previous game week, I believe. We did. We correctly predicted Bayer Leverkusen to beat St. Pauli away from home 2-1. And my previous score prediction was PSV I hold my hands up. I got it wrong. I thought they could beat Union Saint-Gilloise, but they could not. And I don't think they'll be able to beat Bayer Leverkusen here, who since sacking Ten Hag seem to have found their rhythm, found their form. I'm going to say Bayer Leverkusen win 2-1. I'm very sure that PSV can get a goal. So the tip again is going to be both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 1.83. After this, it's Borussia Dortmund up against Athletic Bilbao. We predicted Bilbao to lose to Villareal in La Liga. We predicted Dortmund to win away from home against Mainz as well. We said 2-1 Dortmund. It was 2-0. And then in La Liga, what was the scoreline I predicted? I predicted a 2-1 win to Villareal. It was a 1-0 win to Villareal. So we were very good with these two teams in their domestic league. And I'm just going to go for home form. I think Bilbao tend to do better at home, definitely. And Dortmund, they're just a bit of a unit in the Champions League. And they were 4-2 up against Juventus going into stoppage time. And then Juventus clawed back 2 goals, making it 4-4, which was great for my Juventus double chance on both teams to score tip, but not so great for Dortmund. I think Dortmund get a win here. I'm going to say 2-1. And I'm confident enough in the Germans to tip Borussia Dortmund to win at 1.83. After this, it is Monaco up against Manchester City, the Battle of the M's. And Manchester City at the weekend, they dispatched Burnley 5-1. Monaco last time out in the Champions League were absolutely crushed by Club Brugge. They are at home here, but it's a step too far in my opinion to beat Man City. Monaco, like I said, not in the best of shape right now. I'm going to say Man City win 3-1. The tip is Man City and over 1.5 goals at 1.61. How can you look past another Erling Haaland goal? I think he'll get on the score sheet, so perhaps marry that up. But Man City will win this one. After this, it's Napoli up against Sporting. Sporting, as we predicted, beating Kairat by 3 goals. Napoli in the previous Champions League game week. Let's just take a look back and see how they got on. We predicted they'd lose to Manchester City. They ended up losing 2-0. They did have a red card as well to contend with, but also they unluckily, I would say, lost to AC Milan at the weekend 2-1, but they absolutely battered them. I think the XG was something like 3-1 to Napoli. I don't really know how they didn't at least get a point, but I think at home here, Napoli are going to bounce back, beat Sporting. I'm going to say Napoli to win 2-1, and the tip is Napoli to win at 1.8. After this is one of the most intriguing games of the game week. It's the final one. It's Villareal up against Juventus. Now, Villareal, they just look unreal this season. As I said, they beat Athletic Club Bilbao, which is a great result. They did lose out to Tottenham 1-0 in the first game week, and Juventus clawing back from the jaws of defeat. 4-2 down going into stoppage time, 4-4 draw. I think if this was at home for Juve, I would go for a 2-1 win to Juventus, but it's at home for Villareal, so I'm going to say it'll be a very exciting 2-2 draw. I think Juventus are a better team, but honestly, Villareal, they've impressed me this year, so I'm going to say it's a draw, and the tip will be both teams to score at 1.75. So that's going to do it for the Champions League fixtures and predictions for week 2. This is probably the longest prediction video I've ever made on the full 90. Once again, massive shout out to all of you for the support on the channel. The last video, the Premier League prediction video that we did, is officially the most viewed video the full 90 has ever released. Out of all 500 videos we've made, the last one was the most viewed and the most supported. So thank you so much. If you do enjoy your predictions, please do drop a like and subscribe down below. That is going to do it from me. I'll see you in the next video very soon.